The third of the 5 mitzvot of the Mishnah is Mitzvat Re-iyah. The textual basis for this mitzvah is in Sefer Devarim 16, Pasuk Tet Zayin, where the Pasuk states, Shalosh Pa'amim Bashana, that 3 times throughout the year, Yira'eh kol zechurecha. All of your zecharim, males, are required to Yira'eh et Panei Hashem Elokecha, before Hashem your God, and as of Devarim 16, they had not yet crossed the Yarden into Eretz Canaan. This process of Yira'eh kol zechurecha would take place b'makom asher yivchar, in a location that he, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, shall choose, which turned out to be Yerushalayim. Mitzvat Re-iyah is referred to in the Mishnah as Ra'ayon. Yira'eh of the Pasuk has a Resh Aleph Hey Shoresh, to see, to inquire, inspect, contemplate, understand, like, choose, prefer, approve of, and in this context, Resh Aleph Hey would translate as to see. Yira'eh is framed in the passive, so that the translation of the entire phrase would be Yira'eh kol zechurecha, every one of your males shall be seen. Better still, every one of your males shall appear before HaKadosh Baruch Hu in Yerushalayim. And the Chumash goes on to specify that these 3 times refer to Chag HaMatzot, Chag HaShavuot, Chag HaSukkot, the Shalosh Regalim. One other requirement is mentioned in the Pasuk, that is V'lo Yira'eh et Panei Hashem. Once again, Yira'eh, Resh Aleph Hey in the passive. When they come and appear before Hashem, it cannot be done Reikam, empty-handed. And this condition is understood to mean that when the pilgrimage to Yerushalayim was undertaken and they arrived in Yerushalayim, there was an obligation to offer 2 korbanot. One, the Olat Re-iyah, and the other, the Shalmei Chagigah. The difference between the 2 korbanot rested in the fact that the first was an Olah, a burnt offering, a korban that was totally burnt upon the Mizbeach, whereas the Shalmei Chagigah was a korban in honor of the Chag. And this was a korban of which the owner was able to retain and share with others while in the city of Yerushalayim. As noted in previous panels with regard to Mitzvat Peyah and Mitzvat Bikurim, when the Mishnah states that Ra'ayon, Mitzvat Re-iyah, Ein Lahem Shi'ur, it raises the question as to whether this is a maximum or a minimum. Is the Mishnah telling us that you can bring as many korbanot as one wishes, or is the Mishnah providing us with a minimum? In other words, that there is a minimum number of korbanot that needs to be brought in fulfillment of this mitzvah. This point is taken up in the My Prayer commentary to Tefillah, in which Dr. Mindell writes, however, the Torah does not specify how many appearances one was to make during any particular festival, or for that matter, the value of the korbanot which should accompany such visits. And therefore the Kahati commentary to this Mishnah writes, Ve'ein shir lemitzvah zu min haTorah. There is no required amount applicable to this mitzvah in terms of time and amount. V'yachol adam latzeit yedei chovato. Technically, one can fulfill one's obligation with respect to this mitzvah, Ra'ayon shel rega, by appearing in Yerushalayim shel rega, a minimum amount of time. Rega, of course, is a second, but one would suggest merely spending half to a full day in Yerushalayim would be sufficient. And similarly, in shir ledemei olot ha-re'iyah, shalmei ha-chagigah, there is no specified amount with respect to the money one must allocate for the purchase of the 2 types of korbanot, the olat re'iyah and the shalmei chagigah. However, writes the Kahati, based upon earlier sources, if one voluntarily increases on the minimum amounts, that person is deemed to be praiseworthy. Which leaves us now with the final 2 topics mentioned in this Mishnah, that of Gemilut Chasadim and Talmud Torah.